Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and welcome to a special edition of Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And I'm here today to talk to you about Aquaman, the 2018 movie that stars that of Jason Momoa. So, this is the first time we've ever had a race-bent Aquaman. This version is that of Native Hawaiian because Jason Momoa, his father, is Native Hawaiian, and Native Hawaiian people are that of their ancestors are the indigenous Polynesian people. And so, that is so cool because, when you think of Aquaman, you think of oceans and this and that, you think of tropics, and what better than that of Pacific Islander type people. And the actor who plays his father is Maori. And Maori people are also Pacific Islander, Polynesian type people. And so I think that's really cool that Zack Snyder, because he's the one who cast Jason Momoa as Aquaman to play this version, because Jason Momoa said in the DVD when he was told they wanted him to be Aquaman, he's all like, "You sure? Because Aquaman's like a white guy with blonde hair and I'm a brown dude," and everything. But Zack Snyder really wanted him to be that of Aquaman. And James Wan, who is best known for Saw and the Conjuring movies, I truly believe that despite being Asian and everything, which is cool, this movie has an Asian director, despite being Asian and everything, I truly believe that if James Wan were to cast his Aquaman, he would be a white dude with blonde hair. And he would probably cast Patrick Wilson as Aquaman, because I've said this before, despite being Asian and everything, James Wan tends to cast only white people in his movies as the lead. He tends to do that. And the only time he doesn't cast an the only time he doesn't cast a white person, if the role specifically calls for a person of color, or if he's taking over in a project and somebody else had already cast that person. Because when you look at this movie, despite Jason Momoa being Polynesian and stuff, Native Hawaiian, you never get told that in the movie. His father's Maori and Jason's Hawaiian, so you have to assume that both of them are the same race in the movie because of their complexion and stuff. But throughout the entire movie, they never go into their background. They never say what race they are. There's no artifacts at their home that tells the history of their people and stuff. I'm not saying they had to go extremely overboard with it, nothing like that, but it would have been nice to have a throwaway line of where they come from, where their people come from. On his father's side, it would have been nice to have an artifact somewhere. You know what I'm saying? You don't get none of that in the movie. So technically, this Aquaman is a man of color who's technically just playing a typical white type character. He's kind of whitewashed, if you will, and everything. And this is a problem that some people of color have had when it comes to race bending certain characters. They will either cast a show that has people of color, or they'll race bend a person, but they don't do nothing with it. They just have them play ordinary people, which is fine at times. It's nice to just play an ordinary person. But if you're going to go out your way to cast somebody specifically that looks this way, then it'll be nice to acknowledge it. And they've never acknowledged it ever in the DCEU, not even in those Justice League movies and stuff. I mean, heck, even Marvel with the Neymar and everything, the actor was Mexican, so they based those Atlantean type people on Mexican heritage and ancestors and stuff. They've had they had the piercings, the language, the people of undersea were Mexican and everything. I mean, here all you see is like Jason tattoos, but you don't know where those tattoos come from if you're not part of like that race. And when you look at the rest of the Atlanteans, the human ones and everything, they're all white. So it's like, it's weird. Like, you think there would be like people of color down there. You think that they would have some more Polynesian people down there and stuff, or just Hawaiian people down there, or just something, or Pacific Islander, some type, you know what I'm saying? But there wasn't. They was just all white and everything. And that's just so strange and bizarre. Like, why go to this, this whole thing of like race bending the character if they weren't ever going to do anything specifically with that race-wise and stuff? But, whatever. And so, like, that's just like my main nitpick of like casting the person of color, but they're not doing nothing with it, and then casting all their people as white folks and everything. Anyways, so this movie was the highest grossing movie in the entirety of the DCEU. This movie had a budget of like $160 to $200 million, and it made 1.152 billion with the B in the box office and stuff. That is amazing. Now, is the movie perfect? No, but it's an extremely good movie though. It's a really good action-packed movie. There are some scenes I wish they would have done better. I wish they didn't have so many villains in this movie. It's kind of a little overstuffed. I wish the pacing would have been more linear and stuff, because it's a bit confusing and choppy at times. Also, I wished that Black Manta would have been in the sequel only, or they could have just set him up to where his father died in the first movie, and then he gets his armor in the second movie. Having him just be like a secondary villain who just pops in, pops out, was a waste of the actor's talent and everything. And yes, he is the villain of the second movie, but I couldn't watch that movie. I tried and I couldn't get past only like 2 minutes of it and stuff. But anyways, also I wish that like Aquaman would have worn his Green Justice League costume throughout this movie at some point. He doesn't don it not once. Not only that, but he just wears regular clothes throughout the movie until he has to fight his brother in that arena. And then of course he gets like, his comic book accurate costume at the end of the movie. But I really wish they could have like delved more into who Aquaman truly is, because it does get a bit confusing. This version of Aquaman, like I've said before, has always just been a bro. He's just a dude. Like, he's like, okay, whatever. I don't care. You want me to do that? Fine. I'll do that. Nah, I ain't gonna do that. What, you really want me to do that? All right, fine. Like, that's how he is throughout the entirety of like, this movie and stuff. Which is so weird when you see him in the Justice League movies, which I'll get into a little bit later. But the fact that he's just a dude, and that's just like basically it. He doesn't feel like a real character. Like, we know he's pissed because he thinks those people, the Atlantean people, killed his mom, so he abandoned them, and then he became a hero after that. But it's like, we don't really know too much about him. We still don't know too much about why exactly he became a hero. Why he thinks it's okay to kill people and stuff when he's doing his hero thing. Like when he realized he created Black Manta, he seemed sad about it, but you didn't really feel it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the whole, oh, I feel sorry, I killed this dude's dad, now, like, I created him, and oh, but the thing about Black Manta's role is just that of revenge. He's not on a killing spree. He's not like a real supervillain. It's just kind of one of those things. That's why he would have been better in the second movie. His relationship with Mira is just kind of odd. It's like she's there and they fall in love with each other, but why exactly? Because she starts like kissing him. Because throughout the entire movie, he had like no romantic interest in her. She really didn't have no romantic interest in him. And then all of a sudden, towards the end, they kiss. And then at the end of the movie, they kiss even more, which is just kind of like, but they're not really love interests though. And because it's weird, because it's like he doesn't want to be a part of Atlantis until she comes to him, and then he's all like, all right, sure, whatever. And then he goes looking for his grandfather's trident, or his father or his grandfather's trident, and he's like, okay, fine, whatever, I'll go because you told me to go. And everything. The whole fish out of water thing with Mirror, I wish could have been done more other than one little montage, because it's kind of weird. Because when she first meets Arthur, she seems pretty okay with the surface world and everything like that and acquainted with it. But then halfway into the movie, she seems like a complete fish out of water where she eating flowers and stuff like that. It's just kind of weird. Um, I wish the acting all around could have been better. Like that's just from everybody in the movie. It's like it's okay at some points, and some points it's not. And then there's times it's like some people are better than others, and some people are just like, why are you even cast in this movie and stuff like that. And I just don't get it. Like, why would the world would you cast somebody with little acting experience and stuff that's basically a supermodel? And but, like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But now the action was really good. Every time there was action, which is very minimum in this movie, it's like it will be like brief action scenes, but those brief action scenes were really really good, and I wish they would have lasted longer. The CGI was really good as well. There were times where it was a little odd, like when that one like soldier was chasing Mira through like Italy and everything on the roof in the building. And that whole scene where he's inside the people's room busting through like, walls and everything, that was all CGI. It was CGI people, and you can tell. The underwater stuff was really good. There were times where it really felt like they was underwater, more so than the live action Little Mermaid movie. And so like you can really tell with the hair flapping around the way it did, the way they're like on the harness and everything, it really felt like they was underwater. But there were some scenes where it felt like it wasn't. Like it would have been nice to have more like water bubbles and stuff like that. And there were times where it just felt like they was just like in a regular room. Now, like the CGI with like the white room, that was so bright, so glossy. It was just so appealing and cool. And there's lots of scenes like that. The animal people, like the crab people, whatever that fish lady people were and stuff, they did look a little too fake. It kind of felt like the Star Wars prequels when George Lucas did those in the early 2000s. It kind of felt like that. You know what I'm saying? So there were times where the CGI was a little wonky and everything. Also the trench people, like why were they in this movie? Why couldn't they be like in a third movie or something like that? Because like I said, the pacing, they really should have just had Ocean Master be the main villain of this movie. Black Manta should have been like the villain of the second, and if they would have got to a third, because they had a 4-picture deal. But of course he starred in those Justice League movies and stuff like that, which it added up to the 4-picture deal. It would have been nice if they was like the third villains for like the third movie, but sadly we never got that far because the DCEU was in shambles and everything. there were like people getting fired. There were people accused of being racist. There was like footage that was like deleted and and had to be like, they had to do like the Snyder cut and everything. And like, they kept trying to do like a soft reboot of what Zack Snyder created. And it started getting more and more confusing, and the movie started to get like more and more crappier to the point where they had to end the entire DCEU, and now James Gunn and Peter Safran are doing the DCU. And so we'll never get that third movie because they talked about making this movie all the way back in 2004 and 2013, but it never came of light. And so, like, they finally made it in 2018, and it's basically a piggyback movie off the Justice League movie, which is so confusing. Now, I said this before. I was really mad when he didn't wear his green Justice League outfit, because that's a really cool outfit, and it's a nod to Aquaman when he was a barbarian. Had that barbarian look in the comics with the hook for a hand and everything. So it's like a nod to that. And you think he would have worn it at some point in time in this movie, but he never does. Why? Because this Aquaman movie, just like the Wonder Woman movies, are a soft reboot of the DCEU ones from the Justice League movie, because Mira has already appeared in both the Justice League movies, the theatrical one and the Snyder cut one. And she had an accent in those movies. Here she doesn't have an accent. She meets Aquaman for the first time in those movies, but now in this movie she meets him for the first time again. Then Aquaman eyes change colors. In the Justice League movies they're more like a piercing white, and now they're kind of like a golden yellow kind of color in this movie. In like those Justice League movies, I could have sworn he was already the king of Atlantis and everything. But apparently now he's not. And there's other kind of weird continuity things that just don't make no sense. Like, how they used to speak underwater. Like in the Justice League movies, they had to create like an air bubble in order for them to talk in for some bizarre reason. But now they're able to talk like, underwater. And so it really, and then it's weird because, this Aquaman movie takes place after one of the Justice League movies, because those are two different continuity movies. But which one exactly, Because in this movie, he never wears that green outfit, almost like it never existed. And so, like, when he had his trident in the Justice League movies, he could control water with that trident, you know what I'm saying? But here, he can't do that. Here, he just has regular Aquaman powers and stuff. And so, like, something else. I forgot what. But, like, it just doesn't feel like, because it just feel like this movie is set in its own universe, and it's not connected to, like, those Justice League movies whatsoever and stuff. Because there, he is a full-fledged hero, and here, he's more just like a vigilante who stops a couple of people at sea, and that's really about it. And it's just, I don't know why they just didn't try to tie it all to, like, together, And so, like, who Aquaman always reminds me of in the DCEU? Thor. It reminds me so much of those Thor movies. It's like uncanny. Like they even have Dutch angles in both these movies, in the first movie. And then in the second movie, his imprisoned brother helps him out and everything. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, they're really stealing from the MCU too much. Because I could not watch the second Aquaman movie. I just couldn't watch it and everything. I tried. The humor got on my nerves. Jason Momoa was just being Jason Momoa and everything like he always is. That's the thing about him as Aquaman. He never plays Aquaman. He just plays Jason Momoa. But this is now him in his campy phase and everything of his acting career. And, with the baby peeing on him and this and that. And, I'm just like, after about like a minute, I just stopped watching. I just didn't care. Because I already know that this is the last movie in the DCEU, so what's the point? And also, I saw Orm, eat a bug at the post-end credit scene. I'm just kind of like, really? He's eating a bug? y'all really going for that camp route? Cause y'all just say, screw it. You know, this movie's never gonna get like a sequel. Just might as well just say F it and everything. That's not a way to go out, man. Like, it's really not. And we all know why the second movie turned out the way it did, because they had to do like a million reshoots and everything, all because of Ezra Miller crazy behind. Ezra Miller messed up like a lot. And I mean a lot. He messed up the Batgirl movie. He messed up his own movie. He messed up the Aquaman movie. He messed up because here's the thing. The DCEU was starting to kind of get itself on track. But they were still messing up on their own. But then here he comes in and throws in a monkey wrench, which just throws everything out of loop. Because I saw that Flash movie and it was atrocious and everything. And so, like, and then of course, you know, that there was an Aquaman version that was drunk at the end of that movie, and oh my God, that man just messed up everything. So we will never truly know what is the real version of the second Aquaman movie, because they had to do a million reshoots because of Ezra Miller's like craziness and everything. And, you know, and it's quite a shame, because this is a pretty good movie. It's kind of like Aquaman meets Indiana Jones, but too much of the Indiana Jones stuff. Now, there is an animated series based off this. It's called Aquaman, King of Atlantis. And it's like a weird, like, goofy kitty, like, cartoon. And I'm just like, that just tells you the state of what DC and Warner Brothers are in right now. They just don't know what the heck they are doing. And they're just doing whatever to appeal to certain people. But it's just kind of like, it's not working, man. It's really not working. Oh, and then of course, you know, because of the whole Amber Heard and like Johnny Depp trial thing, that also messed up the second movie. I forgot to mention that. Because like they had to cut a lot of her scenes because a lot of people was mad at her. And there are people split about how they feel about her. Some people hate her guts, and other people's all like she's a result of domestic violence. And so her scenes got like really slimmed down in that second movie, I heard. I also heard that like Black Manta is the main villain, and he has some type of green trident, the dark trident or whatever. But they say it mostly takes over his mind, so it's not really him being evil, which is just stupid because he's on a revenge quest. So why not just have him be evil and everything? So it's sad that the Aquaman series had to go down in the whimper. It's sad the whole DCEU turned into the debacle that it was, you know, with the Shazam movies and Black Adam and oh my God, Blue Beetle. I couldn't even finish that. I got further in Blue Beetle to where he got the suit on and went around the city, but I couldn't finish that movie, man. Because of the simple fact, one, George Lopez ruined that movie for me because he overacted his scenes and he kept trying to steal the whole movie and everything with his scenes. Not only that, but I'm here to see a Blue Beetle movie where he's a solo hero out in the field fighting bad guys, not have his entire family be the main focus of the entirety of the movie, making them feel like main supporting characters and having them fight with him out in the field. I'm not here for the Fast and Furious family dynamic, you know what I'm saying? I'm here for like a solo movie. So this movie really should have been a prequel and not a sequel to that of the Justice League movie. It would have been nice to see how Aquaman became actually Aquaman, but we do get his backstory in very small, like, you know, clips and stuff, which is nice and a nice voiceover and everything. Like, I think when Jason does like the voiceover stuff, it's more like, you know, him playing a character as him just being in the movie acting like himself. Now, the first time I ever saw Jason Momoa, man, I didn't even know that was him. Like, I didn't even know he was in the show until I read about it. He was in Baywatch Hawaii. Baywatch Hawaii was like a soft kind of reboot continuation of the main Baywatch show where they went all to Hawaii. Mitch went to Hawaii. They wore the yellow uniforms instead of the orange. And like, later Mitch married Gina Lee's character and later left the show. And yeah, I had no idea that was him and everything. He was so young back then and a whole lot like slimmer. Now he's all like big and muscular. And now he looks like Jason Momoa with the long flowing hair and everything. I could not believe that was him. So this was back, I forgot how long that was. That was like 2000s, I think. And so the movie starts with like him telling the backstory how his parents met. Tom Curry and Atlantia. And Atlantia is played by Nicole Kidman, who was Chase Meridian in Batman Forever. That's so cool. She's been in 2 DC movies and stuff, And his father, I can't even say his name, Team Mullera Morrison. That dude is bubble fat now and stuff. And he's been in some other stuff I've seen him in. And so, like, those two fell in love. They had a kid. But then Atlantia had to go back to Atlantis, where she was later, like, exiled and in prison. But it was said that she was murdered, executed and everything. But she sent, like, Willem Dafoe's character. I forget his name. Volko or something like that, to like train him and stuff like that. But then a young, like, Arthur, he decides to reject the people of Atlantis because they killed his mom. Man, that's one thing about this movie I will say. I'm tired of all the man buns. I hate man buns, and I have this on DVD and Blu-ray, and it's just like, I don't want see no man buns and stuff. And so, like, he just grew up, like, protecting the people near his village and stuff like that, becoming the Aquaman. He fought alongside the Justice League, and Mira's been keeping an eye on him. She is a princess and stuff. Oh, that's another thing that was different from the other movie. Like, in the Justice League movies, people from Atlantis can breathe on the surface. Here, only if you have royal blood, you can breathe on the surface. But, like, everybody else has to have, like, a tank mask type thing, like a suit. And it's just kind of like, okay, but like, whatever. So, like, she is a princess and she has the ability to control water. And apparently she's super tough to, how Aquaman, his skin is like, really, really tough and everything. And apparently hers is too. Because when they jumped out of the plane and hit the sand, then, nothing happened to him. But anyways, so, like, she wants him to be the king of Atlantis because she doesn't want Arm to be it. And she doesn't want him to be the ocean master. Now, it's not really sure why she doesn't want him to be it. But apparently he's like a tyrant and everything. But it's kind of hard because the movie, it does let you know he is working with like the pirates and working with Black Manta. But like, just like every other story with like, King Arm and everything, he just wants to take over the surface world, and he always stages some type of attack on his people that makes the surface world look like they don't want to attack him, so he has a reason to attack them and everything. It's so typical. It's been shown to death. It happened in the Justice League animated series, which that was a better Aquaman story than this movie. I mean, this movie's good, but that animated series was a whole lot better from Justice League. And so, like, the people of the surface world are like attacking the Atlanteans, trying to steal their stuff. And, so he's all like, oh, we got to take them out and everything. So he tries to rally all the different, like, kingdoms of the ocean world and everything to fight on his side. Some people will, some people won't. And, he hates Arthur because he's a half-breed and stuff. And he feels like a half-blood shouldn't be the ruler of Atlantis and stuff. So that sense makes sense that he doesn't want like, half-breeds and stuff. But, Arthur is the true king and everything. So they fighting like a duel, and he's betrothed to Mira and everything. And so, like, Aquaman ends up getting his butt kicked and everything. And it's to the point where Mira has to save him, becoming a traitor. And so he's already rallied her father on his side, and he's trying to get these fish people and like the crab people and stuff. And so he murders the fish people's like king, and the princess takes over, and he threatens, to kill her too if she doesn't fight along his side. The crab people he goes to war with because they just don't want to like join him and stuff like that. Now, like I said, with the pacing of this movie and the overall arc is kind of odd because it's just kind of like, okay, he wants to attack the surface world. Mira finds like, that he's treacherous and all this other stuff. So she goes to get Arthur to make him the one true king. Then all of a sudden he has his mom trident. It gets broken and she's all like, you're going to need the trident of like your grandfather, the one true trident and everything, because the one arm has is the father one. And, and whoever has the grandfather one will rule the seas and blah, 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 and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of like, so why didn't they go looking for the grandfather's trident to begin with and everything? And because he got his butt kicked by his brother, which shows he ain't that strong and stuff, and he only Ubers up when he has his grandfather's trident. And so, like, every once in a while in this movie, you'll see him talk to, like, fish and stuff like that. I wish they would have done it more, because that's, like, his thing. And this isn't a dopey, like, Aquaman from, like, back in the day where everybody used to rip on him and stuff, So I wish they would have showed him talking to, like, the fish a whole lot more. So, of course, they do this Indiana Jones type thing where they have to go find one clue to the next scavenger hunt, to the next one, to the next one. It does become a bit odd when they do like, the stuff on the surface and the Indiana Jones type stuff and, trying to find like every clue to like this like ancient trident and stuff like that. And, they go to Italy and they get attacked by like all of a sudden Black Manta because Ocean Master dude gives, Black Manta some armor. But this don't make no sense. How in the world is Black Manta able to like, figure out Atlantean tech, hardwire it into human tech, and how does he know how to do that? You know what I'm saying? Now, the Black Manta suit looks great, except for it looks too rubbery and everything. It looks like a CGI rubber and stuff. But, he ends up getting his butt kicked as well. And so this is why I wish he just would have been the villain in the second movie. Which he is, but I wish they would have never established him as a villain in this first movie. So then they realize they have to go, like, to where the trench people are. Now, this is the part that gets a little bit more confusing because it's kind of like, when the heck did Mira ever have her costume on her? We've seen her wear regular clothes. So you mean to tell me she had that underneath her regular clothes the entire time? It doesn't look like that. But like I said before, this is when they do like the fish out of water thing with Mira, where she doesn't seem to understand nothing about the human world. She like, thinks like boats are free. She thinks you're supposed to eat flowers. She doesn't know what a wishing well is, but she's been spying on him for like the longest time. You think she'll be able to figure something out. Or the dude that William Dafoe plays, because those two are very close, you think he would have told her some stuff or just something, like, you know what I'm saying? So in a way, they go to where the trench people are. And I wish those would have been like a villain for like another movie. They're really strong, really powerful, but they're able to like, evade them and stuff. And when they go into like this wormhole type place in a different like land with dinosaurs, they don't explain what this dinosaur land is and why they're dinosaurs and stuff. And I'm just kind of like, I know there is an island with dinosaurs and there's like there's tons of like dinosaur island type things in DC Comics, but at least they explain when they do those like animated series. And here they just don't explain nothing. And so of course, guess who's alive? Atlantia and everything. She's been there the entire time. She was exiled there. And she can't leave because you need the power of the Triton in order to leave. So, they go and they look, and it's like one of those question type things you have to answer, I think. Isn't it? I don't know, I can't remember. But anyway, there's like a giant kaiju monster. And, she's killed like tons of people and everything. And it's all like, if you're worthy of taking that like staff or whatever, or that trident, then, prove that you are, while she's trying to fight him. And he just pulls it up without a struggle. It would have been nice if he would have had to struggle a little bit, then release it. And that would have shown, oh, you really are like, who you're supposed to be. So then, of course, he puts on, for whatever reason, his grandfather's like suit, which is the comic book accurate one. And I'm surprised how good this goofy suit looks in live action. Because normally it's so like the orange and the green, it wouldn't mesh well with live action. That's why they gave him the green suit in Justice League. But this really works. It really pops. The only thing I don't like are the gloves and the boots. They're too hokey and everything. And so like with the power now of this Triton, his power is increased by like 1,000. He can, because before he can talk to animals, but he'd be really close to them. Now he can talk to animals like everywhere, and like underwater and stuff. His strength is increased, all this other stuff. So of course, when he goes back and he sees the war between his people and the crab people, he fights that of his brother. And when he fights his brother, he even uses the trench people to help him because he can control them now. I don't understand, and he even brings the kaiju monster and stuff. What I don't understand is like, if he can control all the like fish and stuff like that, why didn't he just control the animals that his people are riding on to make them turn against the people riding on them? And shouldn't he be able to control the crab people and those fish people and stuff? So why didn't he do that if he can control the trench people? And technically, since his people are fish, technically, the Atlantean people, shouldn't he be able to control them as well? And so, like, but, hey, whatever. They had to get to like a battle somehow. So he fights his brother, and it's a really cool battle. On top of like, land or a sub or wherever the heck they're on top of. I like the Dutch angles. People hate Dutch angles for some reason, but I love them. It gives you a great visual and something different that you're not used to. How he defeats his brother happens way too fast. And it's just kind of like, the staff thing is weird because he does kind of like that Monkey King thing where he spins his staff around and then spins around on his own, and then he just kind of launches it at people and it just like flickers around, and I don't get that. It would have been nice if he would have used water power like he did in the Justice League movie. It would have been nice if he would have, remember that comic book panel where I think he calls on like a whale to eat somebody, and he's like, ha, my power ain't like so stupid after all. And that would have been like great, you know what I'm saying? But of course they wanted his brother to show up in the next movie because James Wan and Peter Safran just loved themselves on Patrick Wilson and everything for those Conjuring movies and everything. And so after defeat and everything, he's now king of like Atlantis, and his mother and father have reunited, and that's basically like just the end of the movie. So it's kind of like the climax could have been bigger. You know what I'm saying? Like the fighting at the end and everything. Like it could have been bigger. It would have been nice to see how Orm was going to destroy the surface world. Because they never really explained how. They just said, like, I guess he was going to take an army up there. And with their advanced technology and everything. But like in the Justice League cartoon, it was a whole lot cooler because they had nukes and everything that they stole from like a sub. And they also had this thing on the surface world to where they was going to melt the polar ice caps and make the whole world go like underwater and everything. If a cartoon can do that, live action should be able to do that as well. And so, yeah. So like I said before, this is a pretty cool movie. It's not great, but it's not bad either. Like, it's really solid and everything. And so, and I think it's also cool, that they had like a Polynesian, like Hawaiian, like superhero. Like, how cool is that, man? Because you don't see that in Hollywood. You really, really don't. And I'm surprised that like his look hasn't translated over to the comics. I think it might have now, but I'm not 100% sure. Now, as for Jason Momoa, he's trying to land the role of Lobo for the DCU, which he would be perfect for because he basically is Lobo. Happy Asian and Pacific Islander month, everybody. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.